it's me, Kai Man, and it is time for another Lifestrology class. And today we are talking about the sign of Aquarius. We're talking about both planets that rule Aquarius, which is Saturn and Uranus, as well as the 11th house. Now, last week we talked about the sign of Capricorn. We talked about the 10th house and about the planet Saturn, because Saturn rules both Capricorn and Aquarius. Now, with Capricorn, it brought about structure, business-like, that whole patience, and it was about time. Now, we're going to talk about something totally different with the sign of Aquarius. This is one of my favorite signs, as well as the planet Uranus and the 11th house. This is my zhuzh right here. You know, if y'all still saying that, I don't know. I don't even do that. But anyway, let's get into it. Aquarius, they are the birth dates between January 20th and February 18th. Their element is air, their duality is masculine, their quadruplicity is fixed, and they are ruled by both Uranus and Saturn. The parts of the body that they are ruled by is the circulatory system, shins and ankles. Aquarius natives, they are prone to get ankle sprains and ankle breaks, and also to varicose veins and hardening of the arteries. Now, their key word is I know, and these people do know. And we'll kind of get into that when we go delve into all of this. You'll understand why they know. The polarity for Aquarius is Leo. Aquarius is the sign of hopes and dreams, friends and wishes. Aquariuses, they tend to be idealistic humanitarians who are concerned with the larger issue of the world, but they remain personally detached. One thing about Aquariuses that I love is that they're able to see a problem, but they don't become the problem. A lot of times we see these things that happen in society, and we get swallowed up by those things that happen in society, and rather being a part of the solution, we become a part of the problem. Aquariuses are not like that. They're able to detach themselves from what is going on so that they can see the bigger picture and what really needs to happen. That's why I love them so much. Whew, something about that whole detachment thing from the thing. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I smell good, y'all. I know y'all can't smell me, but I got on that Mont Blanc Legend, and it's doing something over here for me. But I'm going to go ahead and finish this up. Let's see. Aquarius is also the sign of the future, of the visionary, and of astrology. They are unorthodox, original people who refuse to follow the crowd and go their own way. They like being different. And I think that is another attribute to the sign of Aquarius that I love. I love different people. I love people who kind of march to their own drum, that type of thing, who dresses however they want. They don't, kind of conform to the norms of society. I love those kind of people, and that's what Aquariuses are. Again, they like being different. Aquarius seeks to refresh humanity with external wisdom poured down and distributed equal to all. They offer revolutionary challenges to the secure conservative structure that Capricorn brought. Remember, we were talking about Capricorn last week. They bring that structure, that responsibility type time, kind of atmosphere or essence to the atmosphere, whereas Aquarius is totally different. They are not bringing that whole structure. They're doing something different. They seem to break down or tear down all those old, outdated, or antiquated. Not saying that Capricorn is outdated or antiquated, but some of the structures that are built by Capricorn, they end up being for generations, and after a certain generation, we begin to tear those things down. And we'll get into that when we talk about Uranus, because that's why I love Uranus. Anyway, they, of course, they offer revolutionary challenges to the secure conservative structure that Capricorn creates. Aquarius insists on probing more deeply because they feel like more needs to be understood and more questions answered. They are comfortable in occupations involving humanitarian social service, scientific inquiry, and political reform. And in other areas, they broadly aim to improve the lot of humanity. They may call for change and revolution as necessary for the common good. These people, they are the type of people who want freedom for themselves, and because they want that for themselves, they want everybody else to have that as well. So whatever it is that you do, that you like, how you want to be, they believe that you have the right to be that. That's why I love them. I'm telling you, just this whole thing about Aquarius is all their characteristics. Now, don't get me wrong, there's duality in all of us, but as we begin to evolve and grow into the sign, because remember, we are, even if your sun sign is not an Aquarius, you may have Aquarius somewhere in your chart, or have planets somewhere in Aquarius in whatever house in your chart. So you want to know about Aquarius because you want to know about that side of you and where that falls in your chart, because I'm quite sure it falls somewhere. You just, gotta kind of understand your chart. And again, you guys have got to pull up your chart. I've given you cafeastrology.com, also with costarastrology.com, and I've given you the newest one, or the latest one, that I have fallen in love with, and that is astromatrix.com. They've got an app as well, and they are also on Instagram too. I love them, and I think I'm going to do a video where I'm going to go through their app and kind of show you some different things that will help you. I'm telling you, they're not just telling you who you are based upon astrology, but they also give you the information about how to maneuver within those things that are considered to be underdeveloped strengths. So you really want to get that app, and download it and put your birth chart in there, and it's going to really help you guys out. Now, back to Aquarius. Aquarius, they insist on probing more deeply because they feel that more needs to be understood and more questions answered. They are comfortable in occupations involving humanitarian social services, scientific inquiry, and political reform, and in other areas that broadly aim to improve the lot of humanity. They may call for change and revolution as necessary for the common good. Since Aquarius values independence and the freedom to speak and to think, it strives to make the world a better place by expounding those principles for others. Again, that's what I was just telling you, that they want that freedom for themselves, so they want other people to have that as well. This sign dislikes hypocrisy and sees others as equals, regardless of their skin color, background, religions, sexual orientation, or philosophical differences. Because Aquarius is a citizen of the world, it thinks beyond the traditional lines of thought. They think outside the box. Actually, they think way outside the box. And that's because they aren't tied by what others say is the way things should be. They can explore ideas beyond what's unacceptable. So they don't think on what's, the status quo, or what, society thinks. They think way outside the box, which is exactly what we need in this world. People who not only think outside the box, but they actually get outside the box and go way outside and look around. These people. Okay, so Aquarians, they see through propaganda and manipulation and seek to expose it. They are communicators, an idea person. The water being poured out by the water bearer, it stands for truth. They are truth tellers. Aquarians give out opinions and observations. They dispense wisdom. They are seekers of knowledge, rational. They're open-minded, gifted with the breadth of vision. They can be objective in judgment because they don't let emotions get in the way. This gives Aquarius the ability to stand outside of themselves, to rise above ordinary human frailty. Aquariuses never lose their own strong individuality. They will grant to others what they consider is an inalienable right. The freedom to be unique. For Aquarians, the ultimate liberation is simply the freedom to be oneself. This is why I love this sign so much, because they, even though that they are detached, they are great friends, but even though they are able to detach themselves from the issues, from the experience, from whatever is happening, they're able to see things a lot of times that we can't see because we're being emotional about things. We're standing in the problem and we're becoming the problem, or we're standing in the issue and becoming the issue. And you can't solve problems that way. In order to solve problems, you have to be able to stand outside of it and say, okay, so what's really going on? And how do I affect this change? How do I strike up a different, or invent something that's different, or innovate something that's different, you know? And that's what Aquariuses do. They are, I love them. I had a friend who was an Aquarius, and I loved her because she was just such, and not only an innovative person, she was very artistic. And Aquariuses, they are artistic and scientific. Their brains work differently, and that freaking, that's so dope. Anyway, we're going to go into the planets that rule Aquarius. Now, we talked about Saturn last week, as they also rule the sign of Capricorn. If you missed the video, you can go on YouTube and watch it. You can watch it on my IGTV channel. You can also go on Facebook. But we're going to go back over it really quickly, and then we're going to talk about Uranus too, because this joint right here, this one right here, you're going to want to know about this one. But anyway, let's get into Saturn. Saturn is the god of the world and time. The energy of structure, how we control. It rules Capricorn and, of course, Aquarius. The parts of the body that it rules are the gallbladder, the skin, and the bones. Saturn teaches you the rules so you'll know when to break them. Saturn is the planet of responsibility and symbolizes the ethic of hard work. Now, that whole symbolizing that it's a planet of responsibility and symbolizes the ethic of hard work. It also, when you think about Aquariuses and that whole sense of responsibility, they feel a responsibility to humanity, to help humanity move along. And so that is why, well, part of the reason why it rules over Aquarius as well, and why those attributes are related. Now, under its influence, a person's character is strengthened through trial and difficulty. And we'll talk about that trial and difficulty because it kind of happens also in the planet of Uranus, that energy as well. Now, it is said that Saturn disciplines us until we can learn to discipline ourselves. Saturn's principle of contraction, focus, and responsibility. Saturn has the longest cycle of all the visible planets. For this reason, Saturn is represented as Father Time, an aged man who marked the natural seasons in our in our seasons and our lives. Saturn's dedication to structure and discipline suits order in business and politics, as well as the physical frames upon which our buildings are and our bodies depend. So it's all about that structure physically, for our own individual bodies and for our own individual world. Now, with Aquarius, that structure that it brings, it also in Uranus helps it to not really tear it down, but as we do say, tear down the old so that it can rebuild the new. So that's why they're kind of hand in hand with regards to that as well. Now, Saturn is the teacher that teaches you to focus. It rules structure and limits. The bones that support your body and the skin that holds it all together. It teaches you the principles of self-reliance, responsibility, and discipline. And it pressures you to build a firm foundation upon which to erect your life. Initially, Saturn points out your weaknesses in your life. It emphasizes all the rules you were taught that originally came from those authorities that were around you when you were growing up. Saturn indicates where problems, restrictions, and barriers are likely in our lives and confronts us with the reality of impermanence. Now, we need that to happen. We need that to happen. A lot of people are like, I don't want to see my weaknesses. Well, you don't want to grow either. You know, in that particular case, you want to stay stagnant. Again, when I'm doing these particular these Lifestrology classes, what my goal is to speak to the higher self in each individual person. So those people that are really looking to really grow and to expound upon who it is that they are and become who they're supposed to be, that's who I'm speaking to. You know, that is who I'm speaking to. Those people who really want to, you know, find out who they are in this life so that they can begin to navigate their lives in the way that they should and not feel that they're less than or have some type of insufficiency within themselves, because they are so much more than that. So much more. Saturn indicates where problems, restrictions, and barriers are likely in our lives and confronts us with the reality of impermanence. In astrology, Saturn is the planet of diligence, self-control, and limitations. Saturn does not give us more than we can handle. Under Saturn's influence, we achieve by overcoming obstacles and hardship. The effort of Saturn itself is to reveal is the reveal for effort. The reward for effort, can't read my own writing, is what builds character. In the end, what we learn under Saturn's influence is that we keep for the rest of our lives. This is that strength building, that thing, those lessons that we learn that we can ride upon, that foundation that we get upon our feet, and we can use that for the next level, to step up on the next level. So Saturn's effect is to delay reward until they are earned. You don't want to just get something and you didn't even deserve it. Like it was just handed to you. You feel some kind of way about stuff like that when people just give you stuff and you didn't kind of work for it. We've been taught that. Now don't get me wrong, there are some gifts in life that you just get, you know, because of the fact of who you are and what you've already done, or some things of that nature. But you know, Saturn's going to make sure you deserve it. You're not going to the next level unless you deserve it. You've done the work to deserve it. Now, what were we? Many people shrink from accepting its burdens, but Saturn is not to be feared. Saturn's position in your chart indicates how well you accept responsibility, whether you are self-disciplined, and what delays and oppositions you can expect to encounter. Now, for me, this is really important, you know, because a lot of times we don't want to go through what we're about to go through, whatever Saturn is about to hand us, but at the same time we know that it's going to make us stronger. It's going to give us a reward that we can use for probably the rest of our lives. And so when you begin to look at it like that, then you're like, come on, Saturn, give me what you got, give me your best. You know, you're looking at it in that way. In Saturn's symbolic form, it is our destiny. Of course it is. It's our destiny. It rules fate, the things we cannot escape, and the payment we must make for what it is that we receive. Now let's talk about Uranus, my favorite. Uranus, however it is that you say it. Let's talk about that planet. This is my favorite planet. It's one of three of my favorite planets. My favorite planets are the ones that are the outermost, because they take longer to kind of to go through the cycle of a sign, which means that it gives you the time to get those lessons, to make those changes, and to master them, and to become a guru, so to speak, of your own life. So let's talk about it. Uranus, it is the god of the sky, the energy of awakening and sudden change. Now, listen, this boy right here, it's about awakening and sudden change. It shakes up your life. So all those times that you've had, like something sudden just happened, that was because Uranus was somewhere in your chart, and it shook some stuff up because it was time to shake it up. Now, it's about how we invent. And remember, Aquarians, they are inventors. They look at certain situations and they either, invent something new. They're very innovative, and so they are that way because of Uranus, ruling them. Now, of course, it rules Aquarius. The parts of the body is the pineal gland. Y'all, I don't know if a lot of people know about the pineal gland. Well, the pineal gland is this little gland that sits in the back of, I think, the third brain, or whatever it's called back there. Now, what it does, it helps the third eye to open. many of us, our pineal gland is calcified because most of our lives we've been using fluorinated toothpaste, and that toothpaste that we've been using got in our bloodstream and it has calcified our pineal gland. So if you are having, like, your sleep cycles are off, it's because your pineal gland is not producing enough melatonin so that your circadian rhythm is on, not off, but on, so that you're able to sleep and do what you need to do. Now, it's important that if you are experiencing that, if you know that you have not stopped, first and foremost, stop using anything that has fluoride in it. Stop that. Stop it. Just stop it. And detox your pineal glanders. Go to a health food store and tell them that you want to detox your pineal gland, and they'll take you down the aisle and kind of show you different products. You use what you think is best for you. I'm not going to tell you what to use. You do what is best for you. Again, it rules the pineal gland and the circulatory system. But that pineal gland is that thing that helps our third eye to open. So that you are aware. You are awake. The energy of awakening and sudden change. Okay? So that's how that kind of relates to each other. I love this stuff. I love it. Anyway, Uranus is the planet of change, originality. The originality coming from being able to invent and to be an innovator. Uranus brings... Let's go back. Uranus is the planet of change and originality, symbolizing the element of surprise in your life. That sudden change. Uranus brings about sudden events and opportunities. It awakens, shocks, and revolutionizes events and opportunities. It is responsible for the flash of human genius. That human genius comes from that pineal gland, from that awakening. So, it is responsible for the flash of human genius that creates something new, whether it be in art or science. In astrology, Uranus is the planet of the future. It's associated with modern science, invention, electricity, humanitarian movements. Our great humanitarian, which is the Aquariuses, and revolution. It is the planet of sudden upheaval and swift unexpected happenings. Its domain is all that is new, original, different, and unorthodox. Same as the Aquarius. Marching to your own beat of the drum. That's because of the planet of Uranus. Uranus relates to your inner will and your secret power. It has to. It just has to. When you're going through any type of sudden change, you have to have a willpower in order to go through those things. And you got to be able to call upon those secret powers that are within you in order to just drive through all of that stuff that's happening at that particular time. Now, Uranus is a deep-seated energy within the personality, an unconscious purpose that is revealed over a lifetime. It takes a lifetime. This is we're talking about Aquarius, which is the 11th sign. We're talking about the 11th house, which is ruled by Uranus. And it sits farthest from the sun, so it takes a little bit longer. So we're talking about a lifetime, a lifetime, okay? So Uranus is one of 3 planets in astrology that have generational influence. It is far from the sun that it travels slowly through the zodiac. Uranus takes 7 years to transit one sign. Uranus is the ruler of the new age, the age of Aquarius. Uranus brings change into our lives, new situations, and new people. Its gifts are always sudden and ephemeral. You have to take advantage of them before they flash by. The message of Uranus is to move with change and not be afraid of the future. Uranus in people's chart happens when you get stagnant. When you've been, you get comfortable, you're like, oh, okay. It's kind of like when you get, in the 12th grade. You know, right before you need to move to another level, you don't even realize that oh, I'm a senior now. You know, you're all comfortable because you've been in high school for however many years. Now it's time to shake some stuff up. It's time to change and go to college if that's what you're going to do, or go to or have college-like level experiences or adult experiences. It is about sudden changes, and it's about lasting changes. Now, where were we? Of course, it talked about that flash of genius. Now, when you go through the changes of that Uranus brings, it's going to help you be able to invent. Now, you have to find out where Uranus is in your chart, so you know how to maneuver within that house. Now, where am I? Uranus is one of 3 planets in astrology that have generational influence. It is far from the sun, that it travels slowly through the zodiac. Uranus takes 7 years to transit one sign. Uranus is the ruler of the new age, the age of Aquarius. Uranus brings change into our lives, new situations, and new people. Its gifts are always sudden and ephemeral. You have to take advantage of them before they flash by. The message of Uranus is to move with the change and not be afraid of the future. Uranus reveals where your rebellious side lies. And we talked about this a little bit with Aquarius as well. It reveals where your rebellious side lurks and waits for the appropriate time to upset your apple cart in order to set you on the path of positive change in your life. Now, a lot of times when certain things happen, sudden change happens, we get all afraid, and we don't realize, if we begin to look at it like, hey, this is happening because it's trying to get me to do something different, get me to do something new, get me to move into a different realm of thinking, of being, of whatever it is. If you begin to see certain things that happen, it may seem chaotic in your life, but stop for a moment and think about it and say, okay, what is this trying to teach me? What is this trying to get me to do? How is this going to affect the next phase of my life? What is it that I need to do? Okay, please think of it in that manner. Uranus rules abrupt changes, awareness, revolution, invention, independence, sudden revelations, genius, and the aha moment. And you know why Oprah has the aha moments? Because she's an Aquarius. I'm telling you, I just love this stuff. Uranus' position in your chart indicates whether you have an inventive or unconventional mind, and if you are attracted to odd and peculiar ideas. Because remember, we have an Aquarius who are kind of odd and peculiar, and most often very eccentric. And so you got to understand that they are that way because they are ruled by Uranus. And Uranus, affords us those odd and peculiar ideas or ways of being. It designates what kind of genius you possess, whether you encounter an unusual circumstances in work, travel, and relationships, and your prosperity for sudden and dramatic events that mark your life. If Uranus is prominent in your chart, you are inclined to be independent and resourceful. Uranus rules astrologers. Now, surprise, astrology was the foundation of all the ancient faiths. I bet you didn't know that. But they tell you that you shouldn't be most Christians will believe that you should not be studying the signs because you shouldn't know, like it's fortune telling. It's not telling your future. It's telling you who you are so that you know how to be and work within your future, work within your present, so that you don't have a crazy past, and that you know exactly who you are and what your purpose is in this world, so that you can be even better in what it is that you're supposed to do, because you are aware. Anyway, that's my soapbox. Now let's go to the 11th house and how this all kind of ties in. The 11th house is a house of friendship, service, hopes, and wishes, which we know that Aquarius and the planet of Uranus, they are all related to that. That's what they are all about. And when it sits in the house, the 11th house, the house of friendship, service, hopes, and wishes, the natural sign, of course, is Aquarius. It's ruled by both Uranus and Saturn, or Saturn and Uranus. It symbolizes how we serve others. The 11th house symbolizes how we serve others. The great humanitarian, serving others. The 11th house is the house of universal love and joint ventures. This house often indicates the kinds of friends and acquaintances who can best further your interests and objectives in life. Being ruled by both Saturn and Uranus, these two key elements create a powerful sense of service. The 11th house shows how we may be able to expand as a whole beyond our individual friendships towards an understanding of the needs of the community, that whole humanity.
I want you to show me how to get to know someone like you, someone like you.